Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia, I am a tarot coach and this is your weekly dose of mindful tarot coaching. 3 questions, 6 cards, several interpretations. As always, I invite you to listen carefully, pick up what resonates and create your own meaning. One of the reasons why I encourage you to do so is that it is going to be a general collective reading and therefore it has its limits. And that's why it is especially important that you pick up what you feel is true for your situation, and that is your personal takeaway. All right, having said this, let's get started. Well, before we dive into the next week's reading, I would like to very quickly recap the current week. You may know that it is always a good idea to recall the message from last week, especially approaching the weekend. This way, making sure that we don't miss anything. Well, you may remember that we had this week the topic of several different opposing impulses like white and black and right and left and male and female. And I don't know how was your week, but I know that mine was pretty much determined by those opposing forces. So on one side, I had this very crazy drive of getting things done and doing, and I was very much in doing action modus. On the other side, I was also pretty much taken away sometimes by my emotions, and I really had to make sure that following the High Priestess advice, I always check in, I make sure what is going on emotionally, this way making sure I stay connected to myself. Well, this is something that you can practice in the rest of the week, because at the moment of the recording it is still Friday, so I encourage you to do so. Well, and now finally we can get to the point, which is the next week. Well, if I have to sum up the next week in some bullet points, I would say doubts, indecision, and questions. And having said this, I can finally start. Well, the week is determined by the Star, which is a beautiful card. It is all about balance, tranquility, rebirth, renewal, healing, transformation, authenticity, and the like. And therefore, it is a great overture for the week, because it means that finally, after enduring a lot of difficulties, you may arrive at a peaceful harbor, knowing that no matter what is going on inside and outside, you are basically on the right way and you are being supported from above. And this is a great stuff, and this is going to be important to remember, because the rest of the cards are going to make sure that you will need this anchor, right? All right, so this is the main significator of the week. Remember this. And this is completed by a reversed 8 of Cups, which is basically about disappointment. It signifies a situation where you have invested a lot in something like money, energy, time, effort, and emotions. I think that given that we have a cups here, it is first and foremost about emotions. However, the situation didn't deliver your expectations. So you actually didn't reach what you were aiming for. And this creates frustration, disappointments, stress, grief, sorrow, etc. in you. And at some point, it can make you walk away, as you can see here. This is what this figure does. Knowing that it is not going to work, something is missing, as you can see here. And therefore, the best option is to walk away instead of investing into something that is actually not working. So this is what this card is basically about. However, it has come up reversed. And this tells me that yes, This week we may face a situation like this. We may realize that something is not really working, even if we have been trying very hard. However, we are not ready yet to walk away. So it can be that we are still waiting around. We want to give it a last chance, to give it a last shot, in the hope that at some point it will still work out. This is totally normal, this is okay, so be prepared for this. And yeah, make sure that you remember that no matter in what situations you are kind of supported from above, and at some point you will be able to figure out what is best for you. Well, now let's take a look at the second column, which is about risks and opportunities. And we have here a reversed Hierophant. The Hierophant is basically about being a master or being a student. It is about teaching and learning. It is also about following certain rules and fitting into a certain context of a religion or another professional institution or something like this. It is also belonging to some community, and it is, I think this is the most important aspect for me at least, it is about concepts, values and beliefs. So the Hierophant is very much about your very own belief system. It is about what do you believe in, and more often than not, we talk about here inherited beliefs that we have adopted from an external place. Well, this card has come up reversed, and this tells me, given the other cards that I have already mentioned, the chances are that this week we are going to question some things, because we may figure out that something is not really working, and this makes us question. So it can be that we really start seriously doubting some concepts, some ideas, some values, and this is going to create some frustration, some uncertainty in us, which is totally normal. So this is one thing. Another interesting interpretation of this card is one of my favorite ones, and I think this is a very important message, so I have to mention it here, that you are your own master. So it reminds us that we may again follow externally adopted and inherited concepts and values. However, it is our very own task to figure out what do we really believe in, what do we stand for, right? And therefore, this is the teaching of this card. Well, this card is completed by a reversed Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords is the card of expression. And it is very much about questioning things. It is about researching, seeking for the truth. And as you can see, it is also full of impulses. You see this guy or lady having her or his thoughts in the hand, being ready to take action. So it is very much about being ready to tell the like it is, to express something or to do something. This is basically a very great young, fresh energy. However, given that it has come up reversed, I see here a kind of risk or a warning that it can go astray. Why? Because if you are going to start to question everything, or you start to act or express things in a hastily way, you may hurt others, or you may say or do things that you may regret later. So first and foremost, make sure that you don't act or express yourself too hastily. And the other thing that confirms this questioning aspect of the Hierophant is that, again, chances are that you start to question some things and you are going to start doubting a lot of things. Make sure to keep these things in mind. And again, make sure that you don't hurt others or don't fuck up things by acting or talking too hastily without giving too much thought. Well, Now, last but not least, let's take a look at the last two cards that deliver us advice. And what we have here is a reversed Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is basically about sacrifice. It is about sacrificing time, action, concepts, ideas, and the like. Basically, it is about hitting the pause button and create some time and space for reflection and meditation in order to figure out what is the next right move. So this is actually a great practice, and it is super fruitful, as you can see here from the green leaves. And therefore, the Hanged Man is more often than not is an invitation to take a break and to make sure that you create space for tuning in order to allow the space and time for new ideas and new solutions to emerge. Great stuff. However, this card has come up reversed as well. And its reversed position, it has several interesting interpretations. So I will throw some in, and again, I invite you to pick up what resonates. So, first and foremost, it can be that we are waiting around too much. So it can be, as we have seen here, that we face a situation that needs maybe a difficult decision, and we are trying to postpone it in the hope that it will sort out itself. The thing is that at some point we will have to make those difficult decisions. So make sure that you don't wait around too much. Of course, again, you have to take your time and your space to tune in and find the right answers. This is also a reference back here, not to act too hastily. So it is totally okay to take your time. However, make sure that you are not putting it off for too long. And once you know what has to be done, you do this, even if it's difficult. So this is one thing. Another interesting interpretation or invitation of this card is to not to play the victim. Because this is also what happens sometimes. So it can be that we really play the victim. We ask, oh, what have I done? Or I didn't deserve this, what's going on, and the like. Where at this point, I would like to get back to the previous card in the sequence and remember that this is the Justice card, right? And the Justice is very much about the karma. So what goes around comes around. And it reminds us that we are adults, and everything that is going on in our lives is the result of our own decisions, choices, and actions, right? So again, we have here an invitation from the reversed Hanged Man to remember this, not to play the victim, but to remember that you are your own master, you take your own decisions, and then you have to deal with the consequences. And now, last but not least, another interesting interpretation of this card, accordingly, is to accept. To accept where you are and not to fight it, not to resist it, but to accept that, okay, this is where this is the situation that I'm facing, and if I fight against it, it's not going to bring much for me. So it's better to accept it, to kind of surrender to it, to sit with this question and to figure out what is the next move, and then again moving on if it's time. So what I feel here is that we have here an invitation for a very delicate feeling, and to understand, okay, to what extent do I want to wait around? To what extent am I ready to invest in something? To what extent am I ready to victim or to sacrifice something? And when is the point when it is enough? And when even more waiting around is just doesn't bring me anymore. This is the last interpretation of this card. And last but not least, we have here a complementary Ace of Pentacles. And the Ace of Pentacles is basically about a new impulse, a new opportunity in the area of business, money, career, or manifested things. So this is a great stuff. Chances are that there is going to be some opportunity to emerge. But given that the card has come up reversed and it completes this reversed hangman, I see here a kind of a risk and a warning sign that if you wait around too much in the hope that the situation will improve, but it's not going to improve, then you may miss other opportunities. So look out for this possibility and make sure that you don't miss other cool stuff just because you wait around for something else. This is one thing. Another interesting interpretation of the Ace of Wands here, Ace of Pentacles, is that make sure you invest in the right things. Make sure you invest in the right areas. I have to repeat this because we have already seen here that you may have not invested in the right things, so you may need to walk away disappointed. But the next time you can make sure that you really look at things and you only invest on those opportunities that are going to pay off at the end. This is also confirmed if I take this card as a reversed card, as an invitation for getting back to the previous one. And this is the King of Pentacles, which is, amongst others, the card for good investments, right? All right, then. So now, last but not least, let me very quickly show you the whole constellation and wrap this up. So again, the next week we may face a situation where we have to understand, okay, is it time to walk away, or do I still have to invest in something? We may question a lot of things, and our job or task is going to be to have a delicate feeling of, to what extent to invest, to what extent to wait around. And once we have tuned in, and once we know what is truly authentic for ourselves, what do we really want, then make the decision and move on in order to make sure that we don't miss new opportunities. Summing it up in one sentence, you have to know to what extent you want to invest in a situation. And I would like to also remind you that we have here the star as a main significator, so you can have faith that at some point the situation is going to work out. Where this is my interpretation, I'm super curious about yours. And now, last but not least, thanks a lot for showing up. Thanks for being here. I wish you a wonderful week ahead. And yeah, see you next week. Ciao.